Hello guys and welcome to my video. I'm Sim Racing and this is actually my first time talking on a video on YouTube, but the topic variety and Gran Turismo is something that is just in my head for way too long time. On one hand you have offline variety, which people have talked about it. People are aware of the lack of the variety in offline races. But on the other hand, there's also the BOP sport mode races, and also they somehow don't have really a variety. And I do read a lot of comments that say, add more Group 3 cars, add more Group 4 cars, we need more of those race cars. But I don't think that would change anything in the game and isn't really a solution for anything for variety, because either the car is super competitive and everyone is gonna use it, or it's not competitive and no one's gonna use it and people drive again the old cars that they just have been driving before that new car. So it hasn't added any variety. I do believe the actual problem why there is no variety is the way how they made those groups, how they are built up. I mean, obviously Group 3 kinda represents what GT3 is, Group 4 represents what GT4 is, but what we actually have is some weird mixture of cars. Some are GT3, some are Vision, some are GT500, some are GT1. So you have like those GT1 cars from the late 90s, GT500 cars from the late 90s, the earliest GT3 cars from like 2012 or 2011, up to the newest like 2021 2022 GT3 car that we now have. So like that's 48 cars inside of 30 years. How can you BOP them together? That's like never gonna work. Maybe they drive the same lap time alone, but in a race there is still the one car is fast on the corners, the other car is fast on the straight. Like you will never have that competitive racing, and everyone knows that it's easier to overtake in a straight line than in a corner. So they have to nerf the cars so much down that they're not OP on the straights anymore. But then you totally can't use them anymore because they won't turn in the corners. So basically out of those 48 cars you always end up with 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 cars that are the best, and everyone is gonna use them and nothing else, and that for weeks and weeks and weeks of Group 3 racing or Group 4 racing, or even months. Always the same few cars. And that has no variety, and that makes people bored. And I think it's not only restricting the game in terms of gameplay, but it's also restricting the game in terms of what they can update. Because they always have to think, which car can we somehow fit in one of those 3-4 groups that we have, because it's a race car, it has to be in one of those groups. And they're so deep in that since GT Sport that they can't go back. Like that's the way to go with those groups. With all the manufacturer and nation cups, like it's part of that whole thing that every manufacturer has a car and they can't change that anymore. But I do believe that there is a solution. I do believe that we can change inside of those groups what is going on. I think subcategories, so categories inside of that category like Group 3, that could work. Like that's something that could bring that variety, a different car to race every week while still keeping those categories. Because obviously we can't get rid of those categories because of all the manufacturer races going on. Every manufacturer needs a car. But best is if I just show and visualize you what I mean with those subcategories, so you can really understand what I mean with that. So yeah, let's jump in. So here we have Group 3A. There will be 2018 up to 2023 GT3 cars, so the newer cars in the game, and therefore also the smallest group at the moment. But I think any future update of GT3 cars will be inside of that Group A timeline. Next up we have Group 3B, which are the bit older ones, also GT3 cars, real life cars, 2013 up to 2017 GT3 cars. Next we will have Group 3V, which stands for Vision. So this means all the concept Group 3 cars, all the Vision Group 3 cars, and all those like made by Gran Turismo Group 3 cars GT3 cars that don't like fully exist like that in real life. And last of the GT3s there will be Group 3X. This would mean that really like older, this would be more like a heritage GT race. So the lower downforce, higher top speed cars like the GT500 cars, the GT1 cars, and those older GT3 cars up to 2012 like the BMW Z4 or M3 GT. Next up there will be the Group 4, which also consists of Group 4A, which is here drivetrain related, so rear wheel drive and MRs are Group 4A. On Group 4B you have the front wheel drive cars, so that will give you something like TCR racing. And in the last group, in Group C, Group 4C, you only have those all-wheel drive cars. So this could mean like this week we have just GR3, like all the Group 3 cars. Next week we have Group 3X with only those older Group 3 cars, and the next week after that we have Group 3 Vision with only the like Vision style cars. So even if there is a meta in those cars, you still be driving a different car every week, even if it's the meta, like, and the races look different and the cars drive different to each others. So it would add that variety. And the exact same thing could also be said for Group 1. I mean, in what world do 1980s Group C cars belong together with some 2016 LMP1 cars, Lemon prototype cars, together with Vision Group 1 cars, like just cars that like put together that just don't belong together, and then somehow try to be BOP together, and people wonder why the BOP doesn't work. Well, here you have your answer why the BOP doesn't work. And also it's way harder for like Group 3 to BOP 48 cars together that don't belong together, rather than BOP those 5-10 cars in one of those subcategories together that then actually fit each other's in terms of cars, so they can actually be BOP together to have equal racing, while still keeping just the normal BOP for those manufacturer races where just all the cars are together. Like, that's fine, but I think for daily races this would kinda be a game changer, because now we mainly race two categories, which is Group 3 and Group 4, but with those subcategories we would have those Group 3, Group 4, and then those 7 subcategories, so there's like 9 different approaches to Group 4 and Group 3 instead of 2, so that really would make a difference. But yeah, these are just my thoughts, and yeah, let me know what you think about that, but I think this would be a solution. And if you made it till here, I would say thank you for watching to the end of the video. Sorry for my bad English, sorry if there is bad audio cuts, bad commentary or bad video cuts. Yeah, have a great day.